Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome probably to what is one of the world's most famous breweries. You know, a graveyard shift on a Friday afternoon in a brewery is a little bit daunting, but I'll do my best to keep you awake. What I've got to do is just talk to you actually about a recent construction project we're just in the process of completing here in Dublin, which we think is a tremendous achievement for everybody involved. I've just got to go through a bit of the history of that project, going to talk to you about the project itself, and come through then and say, what does a client really want from their investments and what do they want from construction projects? And then at the end of that, we have a short video which just shows you a brief history of the project itself. Okay? When Mike introduced me, he introduced me as the Engineering Excellence Director. For my sins, I was given that job on the 1st of July. And really that's about us as a business trying to drive forward engineering and say, it's engineering excellence in service of the business. It's not engineering excellence in search of engineering excellence. It's engineering excellence in terms of what a business needs and wants from its engineers. But as you can see, we're building on a legacy of excellence. This site's been here since 1759, which is 254 years, when Arthur Guinness inherited £100 from his uncle, who was a bishop, and bought a derelict brewery here. So even before that, there was a brewery here before. Okay. The project that we've implemented here is the 4th brew house that's ever been built on this site. I think this is one of the interesting things for engineers to get their heads around. The original brew house was put in here in 1759. That survived till 1877. The one that was put in 1877 lasted till 1988, and the one that was put in 1988 only survived to 2013. So that does raise questions about what all the engineers do in service of a business. It was a great return on an asset that lasted from 1759 to 1877. The accountants would love that, so if the engineers could deliver that every day, that would be very good. Why do we have the project here? As you can see, between 2006 and 2011, there was a huge, as most of you in the room would know, there was a huge downturn in the Irish economy, a huge downturn in land values. At that stage, we had planned to vacate the St James's Gate site and move to a new site in Leixlip at a cost of 650 million euros was what we planned to do. Luckily, at the time, we didn't do that. I think we're standing here very lucky today that we didn't make that move. Because one of our biggest challenges is every pint of Guinness that you get around the world, with the exception of a small amount in Australia, every draft pint comes from here. In order for us to continue to do that, we have to be extraordinarily competitive. Because we take a stainless steel keg, we fill beer into it here, we send that stainless steel keg all over the world, and we bring that stainless steel keg back empty, we wash it, we fill it up with beer, and we send it back again. With a product that's 96% water, I'm sure the engineers would appreciate, that's an awful lot of water moving around the world on a continual basis. So we have to, if we want to survive and keep the business here, we have to be extraordinarily competitive. What we had here in Ireland was a legacy brewing setup where we had the old Guinness brewery in Dublin. We had a brewery in Dundalk, the Great Northern Brewery, and we had a brewery in Kilkenny. So on an island the size of Ireland, we had three breweries. Okay? To put it in context, some of our larger competitors have breweries of the order of magnitude probably of 30 million hectolitres. A hectolitre, for those of you who don't know the units, 100 litres. It's the one that's the norm in the brewing industry. The brewery in Kilkenny and Dundalk were about 1.2, 1.3 million hectolitres. So 1/30th of the size of a modern day competitive brewery in the world. So for us to have 3 breweries in Ireland just wasn't competitive, and we needed to resolve that issue. Okay? So what did we decide to do? We decided to build a centre of excellence here in St James's Gate. It's going to produce 800 million litres per annum, or 1.6 billion pints approximately. That's a huge amount of beer. I'd have to say myself, when I see our packaging lines, and our packaging lines run at 1,400 cans a minute or thereabouts, when you see 1,400 cans of Guinness going past you every minute, you wonder who drinks them. You know? So it is a good question to do, right? What we also had to do is, in order to be competitive, utilities and energy is our single largest cost nowadays. So what we spend on utilities and what we describe as utilities and energy is we buy natural gas, we convert that into electricity, and we convert it into heat. We also create CO2. We also have a nitrogen generation plant. We have refrigeration. We have all of those things. So they're huge, the biggest single cost for us. So this brewery has to be incredibly efficient. Okay? So what do? We set about a development plan. And really what we're doing, I don't know how many of you know this brewery, probably some of the people from Dublin certainly know it from passing through. There is actually a road that runs through the middle of the brewery, and we have a series of tunnels underneath. So we've decided to move the brewery from this, which is the south side here, to the north side, and get a much more compact manufacturing plant. At the height of the Celtic Tiger, our accountants would have loved to have sold that piece of land to generate revenue. At the moment, we would really struggle to find a buyer for that. So this project then has to stand on its own merit. Okay. It's the fourth brew house, as I've said. It's got the world's, in order to be efficient, we've gone for one single brew stream on stout. The current plant has 4, and we have built the largest stout brewing stream in the world, and it does 300,000 pints every 2 hours. That's what it does. Okay. We have to be leading in sustainability. One of the biggest challenges our shareholders put to us nowadays is sustainability, and our consumers as well. Okay, so we established a number of targets for the project. 2 of them were LEED and BREEAM, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with here. We have set a target of achieving the highest standard in both. Okay, we've set our target is to achieve a BREEAM outstanding and a LEED Platinum certification for the plant. Should we achieve that, we will be the only brewery in the world with a LEED Platinum or a BREEAM outstanding certification, and we will be the only industrial building outside of the US that has a LEED Platinum certificate. So that steps us right forward into the world of sustainability in a very big way. Energy efficient design. We've established an energy efficient design process, and I'll come back to some of the things we have on this slide in a minute. And zero waste to landfill in construction. We have a corporate target to have zero waste to landfill everywhere. So the construction site here has been delivered to date, and it's just about finished on zero waste to landfill, and it's designed to be zero waste to landfill when it's finished. And I'm sure as you listen to me talk, you're starting to hear a number of the things that we as a client are interested in out of the project, other than perfection in the engineering. Okay. In terms of zero harm, another big issue for us, health and safety. This construction site had 1,000 people on it at peak. We've achieved an accident frequency rate of 0.06, right? Which, I don't know how many of you in the room would be familiar with accident statistics. That's about 1/10 of the construction industry best in Ireland. So that's an astonishing achievement for what has been done. We had 1 reportable accident with 1.6 million man hours, which is an astonishing achievement for the team. Okay. What do you got to do? No disruption to an existing live brewery. We can make an awful lot of money out of selling stout to everybody. You can't stop the brewery. Here's one actually, which is a big challenge for our design teams and construction companies, is a concurrent program of civil works and process installation. Okay. When you sit in the client side of a construction project, time is probably one of the most significant issues. Okay. Particularly if you look at foreign direct investment. If you look at foreign direct investment in Ireland, guys come here, they want to build a pharmaceutical plant, or they want to build a food plant, or they want a biotech plant. They need to get that up and running quickly. The traditional process of constructing, particularly here in Ireland, has been for the civil guys to do their piece, and then the process guys to arrive and put their gear in. And unless they had something really, really big that the building needed to be built around, it actually didn't go in until the civil guy walked away. Okay? In terms of our timeline here, we couldn't do that. So we have a complete concurrent civil, mechanical, electrical. Everything has been done at the one time. Okay? Through doing that, we have achieved, from start of construction to the first brew in 13 months. The last construction job of this size in the brewing industry was done in Seville in Spain, and that took 3.5 years. So that's an astonishing achievement when you look at it. That's 1/3 of the time our competitors can do it in. And for everybody, time is money. Our net savings from this project are in the order of £40 million per annum. Taking 2 years off the construction program is 80 million pounds sterling, or thereabouts. So that's the sort of value that the engineers can bring to the business if we do the engineering in the right way. Okay. We have a huge number of people involved in this, and probably it's a comment I've made to a couple of people outside. You know, we have some fantastic people. We have CISC, we have Brushaw, Jacobs Engineering, Arup, RKD. We have Gay and Krohn's German companies. We have Halvrika, Dutch company, and Buttermer, another Irish company, all involved in doing this project. And I think this is one of the challenges for your sort of BIM business is, how do you get all of them to work in the same way? Because, as I described to some people, this company here, Kronos, turnover about 2.5 to 3 billion euros a year, 27,000 people, solely an engineering and packaging equipment manufacturer. So they do a huge amount of engineering every day of the week. And they will do things their own way. If you run a business with 27,000 people, you have to do it your own way. You can't suddenly decide, I'll turn that whole business around because RKD want to use a slightly different BIM system to Arabs, etc. You know? We have 6 engineering excellence programs. So what are we doing as a client internally in relation to engineering, and what are our requirements? Okay. We have zero harm, which we've mentioned, and we've mentioned the accident statistics on this project, so absolutely astonishing, really, really good. We have engineering for quality, so we have a whole zero defect program that starts at the beginning of the project, and our aspiration for this project is to start up the project and get it to work the first time. Okay? This project is the cost of 10,000 Nissan Micras. If you bought one Nissan Micra, you'd expect to turn the key and you'd expect it to work. Why does the construction industry and all the engineers think you can spend in one unit, pay 10,000 times the price and expect to have a snag list as long as your arm because guys didn't quite get the bits and pieces right, or didn't quite get them bolted together, or didn't think about it? Okay? We're doing a good bit on engineering for standardization because we believe standardization will speed us up. So do things the same way every time, and do them globally the same way. Some of you, I think, who have experience of Intel will have heard of Intel's copy exact. We're not quite at the copy exact, but we don't want to redesign everything every time. So in terms of business or building information management systems, if you can create modular units that we can bolt together, then we can all move together faster. Sustainability, we've mentioned already. Engineering for innovation, we need to keep innovating. We need to keep moving faster and faster. There's a lot of innovation gone into it. This will, when it's finished, will be the world's most efficient brew house. Nobody else will be able to compete with us in terms of the amount of steam we use for every hectolitre of beer we produce. There is nobody in the world who will be at as low a level as we would be. And I think in terms of engineering, probably in Ireland, that's gotten a bit lost, and the need to be really, really efficient, to be really, really competitive across the globe has gotten lost. You know, if you go back, we got years in this brewery in particular. 18 months after Edison invented the light bulb, there were light bulbs in St James's Gate. You know, one of Mr. Watt's first steam engines came here. So Ireland had a history of, and particularly this brewery, it had a history of engineering and engineering innovation, and innovation to drive business value. So that's probably the key piece. Engineering for value, that's a huge challenge for us. We live on a wet little island off the west coast of Europe. So almost everything that we use has got to be imported. And everything we make has got to be exported. So we really have to work very, very hard in here. I'd have to say this project has done an exceptional job in this regard. We have done everything here in this brewery for just under 200 million euros that we plan to do in Leixlip for 650 million euro. 650 million euros. And that requires all of these pieces to work together. So some of my challenge maybe to the building information management process is how do you get all of these to work rather than only just one element of the design. Okay? As a result of this, the engineering excellence is now in Ireland. So what do you get out of this? For me personally, I got appointed as the engineering excellence director for Diageo's global beer business, but it did bring the Centre for Engineering Excellence for Diageo's global business to be here. The engineering standards and these strategies that were developed here in Ireland are now the Diageo global standard across all of our business. Okay? The team here now spends in or about 500 million euros per annum on engineering, which is an awful lot of money. We'd be honest and say we spend very, very little on building information management systems, largely because we would push people to say, where do they drive business value? We understand all of the arguments as to why technically and from an engineer's perspective they're a good idea. We get that. What we're missing when people come to us with it and come to us with 3D proposals and all sorts of other proposals, you know, we've tried to scanning our existing plant and try and bolt into it, create 3D images from that. We're a reasonably rich company and therefore, you know, we can afford to experiment with some of these things. What we struggle to do is to turn them into something that has business value. And I was talking to a couple of people outside and I was saying to them, if it doesn't drive a business's cash flow or it doesn't drive NPV for the business, then I will really struggle to get the finance director to approve the money to spend on it. And that's probably the challenge I'd put to the people here today, to say, you know, think about what you do and actually how it actually drives business value and how do you sell it to the finance director as opposed to the engineering team. One of my biggest challenges is actually to try to get my engineering team, and I see one or two of them here today, is, lads, will you stop playing with engineering toys and do stuff that actually drives the business forward. Okay. Sure, just a quick run through Diageo in Ireland. We're about 1,500 people, and we're 1,500 direct employees. We have a policy of outsourcing non-core activities. So where somebody is more efficient and can do things better than we can, we outsource it. So we probably have about 19,000 jobs who actually draw on us pretty much directly. I know that describes indirectly, but it's far more than that. There's still in or about 2,000 people who physically come to work on this site every day, but a lot outsourced because people are much more efficient than we are doing things. Okay. Our annual rural purchases, just in terms of raw material in the country, we buy about 275 million. We export about €1 billion worth of beer every year. 2.7 million pints of Guinness are brewed each day. There's a number for you. There's somebody drinking 2.7 million pints every day. Milk, we do a lot of milk because Bailey's, and most of you will know the Bailey's product. The only manufacturing plants for Bailey's around the world are actually both here. There's one just outside Belfast and there's one here in Dublin. Okay, we're the largest single purchaser of barley in Ireland, so we're hugely important to the Irish agricultural industry, and we're about 400 million in terms of tax. We have been described as the largest single taxpayer in the country, particularly if you add the duty on beer and spirits that we sell to that. So we represent a phenomenal amount of money in the country. Okay. This was a piece that we looked at in terms of, you know, growth in Ireland depends on the investment of multinationals here. You know, we hear a lot of talk at the moment about going it on our own and not requiring the Troika and whatever. And I'm not an economist, so I don't know whether that's a good idea or a bad idea. What I do know, though, is that we can't create enough sustainable jobs ourselves. Our population isn't large enough. You know, on balance, we are really about quarter the size of the UK Midlands, something like that. I was explaining to Mike earlier, I spent 2.5 years working in China. China has 100 cities bigger than Dublin, so we're just not big enough to do that ourselves. We need people to come in. What are they looking for? They're trying to deal in a very, very competitive global market. They're trying to get products to the marketplace as fast as they possibly can. They're also trying, if they build a plant here in Europe to support a market or to support a new product, they need to get there quickly. And that's why things like the concurrent design. So what can you offer from your BIM that actually allows that to happen? And move the argument you make from it's technically superior to actually it delivers something. And I think it has huge potential benefit in terms of time. What the multinationals, they need trusted partners. You know, they need people who understand their needs. One of our biggest challenges in construction is trying to get the whole team to work to deliver the outcome that we want. And I don't know how many of you watch some of these construction programs on the TV, you know, where the guys are doing up the house, and there's always a struggle between the architect and the client. You know, the client says, I don't have money to spend on that big window up the front, and the architect says, no, you need to have that, you need to have the atrium. Take that and multiply that up to the size of project we're talking about here. Try to do that and spend 500 million euros a month. And if you take 500 million euros a year, rather, and you break that down, that's 40 million a month we're trying to spend. So we need, if we're going to do that, we need people to work with us. We don't have time or the energy to get into all of those debates about who was right, who used whichever system, and they got it right, and it was his fault, or it was the other guy's fault. That just doesn't work for us as a customer. And okay, each guy in that argument believes he's right. So the architect says the civil engineer got it wrong. The civil engineer says the builder got it wrong. The builder says that the M&E guy got it wrong. And then we wind up as a client sitting there in a meeting trying to referee all this, and it's actually, we're just refereeing something that is actually of no value to us. Because even in the end of the day when they agree, then they all tell us it's going to take 3 more weeks to fix the problem. So there are challenges for us. It's guys, get the people together, get the systems connected, and try to get it to work. Okay? We need people that are trusted advisors. You know, we need people who, when we need to be told the truth, or we need to be told the things that we don't want to hear, particularly at the start of a project. You know, if it's going to cost us more than we think it's going to cost us, or it's going to take longer, or it's not going to work as well as we think it is, or everybody's aspiration is, tell us, because that's what a trusted advisor would do. He'd tell you and he'd warn you and say, listen, you're going down the wrong path here. People who say to us, yes, we'll do that, or, you know, particularly I think in a developing technology like BIM, who tell us, you know, all of the new technologies when they arrive, people tell you they're going to sing and dance and whistle Dixie while standing on their head and flapping their ears, and they make outrageous promises for what they can deliver. Okay? Please, for us as a client, do not make the outrageous promise. Make a practical promise that you can deliver on. Okay? And make it easy to do business in Ireland is a challenge, because we keep coming back actually to the various pieces of the construction industry in Ireland and across the world, not kind of working together, and they're all kind of supporting their own corner, and they've got antiquated systems of doing things, and we struggle to work our way through that and find out. So be easy to do business with. This is in terms of, one thing I said I would do is just talk about the client priorities. So what we did is we created this slide to just say, what are we thinking about when we're sitting in the office? Okay? Cost certainty is an issue. Value for money is probably a bigger issue. We can manage any cost uncertainty as long as we're told on time. Environment, you'd see we've dialed up a huge amount. Our shareholders and the shareholders in every large multinational now want the environment right at the front. There's been too many problems environmental problems across the world for large corporations to get involved in an environmental problem. So very, very, very important. Safety, you see we've dialed right up to the top. Timing we have in there in the middle, hugely important, but probably in the middle, less important than safety. So if somebody says to me, I have to slow down to be a little bit to do things more safely, I'll slow down to do them more safely. Okay? The concurrent civil and process, yeah, we want to get that done. You know, we don't need this sequence of where we spend a huge amount of money on civils and we're getting no return for it. Okay, quality hugely important. Live site important for us, but that's probably specific to this project. And really, we'd look to the BIM industry and say, what can you do in those areas for us? Because they're the areas that we're looking. They're the areas we're looking. So a client sitting behind my desk, they're the factors. That's my balanced scorecard. That's what I'm looking at. So my question to you would be, how does what you do help me to deliver that? Having said all of that, and all of the challenges that are in that, the project here has been an incredibly successful project. It has been completed to the highest possible safety standards, and for any of you who know those type of statistics, that's an astonishing statistic for a construction site. The time is astonishing, the cost is astonishing, and the quality is superb. So as we said to people in the Irish construction industry and the European construction industry who have provided this, they should all take a bow and say what a fantastic job it has been done. It's probably taken 2,000 people to do this project. There was 1,000 on site, but you got all of the other designers and all the other people that needed to deliver. So an astonishing achievement. What I'm just going to do now is show you a very quick video, which is really a celebration of the project and what has been achieved. And when you see it, you'll see the size of some of the things that have been done and achieved in that. So if you could pop on the video, that'd be great.
By the cracks of his skin, I climbed to the dawn. I climbed the tree to see the world. When the guys came around to blow me down, I held on as tightly as you held on me.
So I hope you found that helpful. I'm going to stay here for the question and answer session. So happy either in the end question and answer session or later on to answer any questions that you might have. On that note, I'll hand it back to Mike.